What do you think of the friendlies so far in America?
I mean, I think, especially for the big teams at least, I think the fans, like how packed the stadiums are, speaks for themselves. This looks like it's pretty packed. I know for the Premier League games, the Wrexham friendly with Chelsea, that one, it was packed. I'm pretty sure it was 50,000 people were there. Same thing with the one in Philly, which I actually went to.
Mm-hmm. How was that?
That was wild. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, 62,000, over 62,000 fans, and like the stadium was almost all packed except for like the top level at Lincoln Financial. But nah, it was pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you see how many people are like into it and stuff, like the fans. It was really cool. It was a good atmosphere.
Did you get yourself involved in some hooligan activity?
See, now I feel like you guys are gonna like figure this out little by little. I know when Demetri is gonna do or say some dumb stuff, just like the look, he like gets this smirk on his face, and like I just know that something stupid is gonna come out of his mouth. Did I get into any trouble?
Yeah.
Like was
I mean, you're known as a troublemaker, so trying to put the pieces together, figure it out.
If what you're asking me is, was I fighting with Philadelphia Eagles stadium staff, then yes.
How was the atmosphere during the game? What do you think?
It was good. Especially, it was loud. It was definitely loud. Oh, did you see anything about the game, like any stuff that happened?
Just that my boy Nkunku scored, and I saw that Mudryk scored a very nice goal.
Wait, what did you call him?
Nkunku?
No, the other guy.
Mudryk?
Dude, he's not a Serb. he's Ukrainian. Mudryk. Bro. He's not a Serb. There's no chich.
It happens to the best of us.
All right. Jeez. But nah, so Brighton got a red card. Well, they got a
late, right?
Van Heck. Nah, not really late. I want to say it was like halfway through the second half.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, because I told you my seats were second row, but it was basically first row because I was right behind the NBC group. That was crazy. Rebecca Lowe, Tim Howard right in front of me, Mario Melchior, Owen Hargreaves, Michael Owen. It was crazy. Yo, that was crazy. They're all in front of me. Good atmosphere, good vibes, but I'm kind of going on a tangent here. Van Heck, he completely like leveled Cassidy, and bro, we were going crazy. We were like, "Hey, ref!" I was legit standing up in the air. I'm like, "Referee!" I was doing this, and like it looked like the ref was thinking about it for a second. You have to think about it. I like to think that the crowd on our side, because we were right there, we were right in front of what happened. I like to think that we had a little, I like to think that we had a little influence on the game. But yeah, it was
Were there any chants throughout the game from the crowd that you would maybe hear during a Premier League game?
Yeah, there were. There were some player chants. There was like the normal like Chelsea, like that one. I'm not gonna actually go all out and do that. It honestly, what I like about the summer series that they're doing for the Premier League teams, at least the Premier League summer series, is that it feels, I mean, again, I wouldn't know. I've never been to an actual Premier League game, but like it definitely gives you the vibe that it's a Premier League game. You have Premier League balls, like they're wearing like the Premier League, like even the numbering, the lettering and all that on their jerseys, like it's the Premier League. You have the NBC Sports crew there. So it gives you the feel that it's a Premier League game. So like I like it. I think it adds to the atmosphere too. And there you go. 1-0 Barcelona. And and the atmosphere from the fans was great, especially because in Philly it was all Chelsea fans. Like, how many Brighton fans are you gonna expect to be there? Like, not many. So it was a lot of Chelsea fans, and honestly, like, what was really cool for me, because, well, one, the last time that I saw Chelsea play live was in 2012, so I haven't seen them in
over a decade.
Actually, no, not 2012. I'm sorry, 2013 was the last time I saw them. A decade. And actually over a decade, because I believe it was June. the last time I saw them was at Yankee Stadium against Manchester City. It was a weird preseason friendly. Oh, and this is actually really funny that this is happening right now. It was like this weird just after the season preseason friendly. It was like a one-off type thing, right? And 2 players made their senior debuts that day. 2 players. A 16-year-old Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who I was so close to getting an autograph from, and a 17-year-old Andreas Christensen. He made his first team debut that day, and I got to see them both. Loftus-Cheek absolutely demolished Yaya Toure. He bossed him off the field, but then just like normal Loftus-Cheek, he came off injured at halftime, because that was the story of his career at first at Chelsea. That was the last time I saw them, 2013. So 10 years later, I got to see them in Philly. And I think the coolest thing about being in Philly, and it's better than being in a place like New York or New Jersey, well, it's New York, New Jersey, is that Chelsea isn't playing at MetLife, which is in New Jersey, which is New York area. So the cool thing about, having to go to a place like Philly is that that's the city, right? Like when you have a game at MetLife in New Jersey, like obviously everyone wants to be in New York. Maybe the teams are playing in like a Jersey, like college campus, like maybe that's where they're having their training sessions. So everything is super spread out. In Philly, everything was all in Philly. Chelsea's training ground where they're training, where their camp is basically for the entire summer series, is at the Eagles training camp, which is right next to the stadium. And for the 3 days that I was there, all you saw were Chelsea jerseys. The Friday and the Saturday, which it was the Friday before the game and then the Saturday, you couldn't go a block without seeing at least 5 Chelsea jerseys. And for me, that was pretty cool. Like, I thought that was awesome because you don't really see that at all. Like, not on that magnitude. So it was really cool just to see, like, Chelsea everywhere. It was, like, a cool feeling, and I feel like you wouldn't have been able to get that in New York just because of how everything is spread out. And so I'm really glad I went to Philly. I thought it was good vibes. City was cool. I'd only been like once before, but like that was for like a school trip. So yeah, overall it's a good time. And like, obviously the result was good. Nice 4-1 W. That Mudryk goal, I was jumping up off my seat.
Isn't it 4-3?
4-3. It felt like 4-1, honestly. That's what it felt like. They kind of gave up defending after 4-1. Yeah, it was 4-3, yeah. But no, it was good, and obviously the field was nice. Like I said, stadium was packed. I gotta say though, the stadiums were not packed for the other games. Basically, like I know the day after, it was like Villa, Brentford, Newcastle, and Fulham, and I saw the stadiums were not very packed at all. Like it was like pretty low. So Chelsea was definitely carrying in that case. But listen, man, it's good for the big clubs to come here. I know English people hate it, but like.
All right, going back to your experience at the friendly at Yankee Stadium in 2013 and this year, would you say was there a different fan experience? Did the atmosphere improve over the last 10 years? What was a major difference that you noticed?
Well, this one felt more like a soccer game, or a football game. I feel like I'm gonna go between both whenever we're doing these. Definitely like the Philadelphia atmosphere was better. It was louder. The stadium roared when Chelsea scored. Like I'm telling you, the place was roaring. But also it's tough because Yankee Stadium's a baseball field. So I feel like it's a tough comparison. Unfortunately, I've basically only been able to, because of where we live in New York, I've really only been able to watch soccer games on baseball fields, which sucks. So I feel like that kind of ruins the atmosphere because the configuration is weird and then people are farther away from the field. At Lincoln Financial, I was right there. I could literally reach over if I wanted to and try to grab Enzo or Mudryk or whoever, or Chalobah. So I was real close. Even at Yankee Stadium, on my side, I was first base side, right behind the goal. I was close. But it's just different. So definitely the stadium atmosphere was better, but it's also tough for me to judge just because my particular circumstances are based on going to games at Citi Field, at Yankee Stadium. But look, bottom line, I definitely think that overall, the stadium atmospheres are probably getting better. Look, Premier League teams are massive here, especially a team like Chelsea, even though they had a terrible season last year. They have big fan base over here. So overall, like, I definitely think that there's been an improvement in the atmosphere. And just the Premier League has gotten bigger. We're talking 2013, right? That's before the NBC deal. The NBC deal basically changed everything, the NBC Sports deal. So now the Premier League is a behemoth and a whole other stratosphere, especially here. So that's why, like, when people say, oh, soccer is not as big in America, blah, blah, blah. Is it, though? Did you ever get the feeling growing up in New York City that soccer wasn't big here?
It was big. I mean, you could get pickup games. You could play in leagues anywhere. Professionally, though, I do get the vibe that you mentioned, where, you know, putting a soccer field in a baseball stadium, it like kind of messes with the configurations. You're not as close to the field, and you know, as we've seen with MLS teams over the past few years, and even with plans over the next few years of them building their own stadiums, albeit not, you know, big capacities, 20, 25,000, it still configures to a soccer field, and it gives a whole different experience. You're right on top of the field, and I think that improves the overall experience, the atmosphere, and you just see more passion in the game.
I mean, look, you don't need a 50,000 seat stadium. Like, a lot of these teams in MLS that have really good supporters and stuff, they don't have massive stadiums. I know Seattle Sounders, I think that they play at the Seahawks Stadium. I think they do.
Atlanta too, they play at the
Atlanta, they play at Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, fair enough. But I think like a place like Portland or like the newer MLS teams, I know they have small stadiums. Like, they have very good atmospheres, and their stadiums aren't big. I think they're between 20 and 30K. Mm-hmm. If you could pack a stadium at 20, 30,000.
I think it brings the vibes no matter what. As long as you pack the stadium and you're right on top of the field.
It's going to be loud.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud. I mean,
agree.
you see in the Premier League, the smaller teams that have good stadium, that have good atmospheres. I know like Crystal Palace is known for having a very good atmosphere at their stadium, and I'm pretty sure it's not big. I mean, they're a team in London, but like, you know, they're a smaller London club. So like, you know, their stadium can't be bigger than 35,000, maybe 40,000. So look, as long as you could pack them in, that's what NYCFC is going to do now with their new stadium that they're building next to Citi Field. Like, I'm sure that they could get fans there, especially in Queens.
I think the club is going to become very, very popular.
Oh, yeah.
A ton.
Just like for reference, NYCFC's new stadium, it's actually being built not even 5 minutes from Demetri's house. Like, not even 5 minutes, right? Mm. It's right next to Citi Field. Demetri's from that part of Queens, which is like if you're not from New York, it's like a borough of New York City, right outside of Manhattan. And like for us, like, and I grew up not too far from there also, basically another 5 minutes, but just in the town over. Like, to have a stadium right there it's basically going to change everything for soccer in that area, even though Queens is basically a soccer hotbed. Like, where we grew up was like the area for soccer. It changes everything. Like, the fan base is definitely going to grow so much more there. I mean, in general, I would say like Queens is probably like the soccer. Yeah, it's definitely the soccer hotbed of New York City. I mean, when we grew up around all kinds of people, mostly immigrants. Our parents are immigrants, and so, you know, like all these immigrants, they come from countries who love soccer. You know, his parents are from Greece and Cyprus. My parents are from Greece and Cyprus. So, you know, these are soccer-loving countries, but we grew up with people from Colombia, a lot of Colombians, Mexicans, people from Ecuador. Italians, obviously, like soccer-loving people. And, I mean, just in general, a lot of, or even think about all Serbians that we grew up around, Croatians, all these kinds of people, they're obsessed with soccer. And so we grew up around that. So, like, when they talk about, like, soccer not being popular in the US, I feel like, if anything, we felt that less than most people because of where we grew up. It's like, where we grew up, like, soccer was huge. One of the biggest places to play soccer, like Flushing Meadow Park, like, that was right by our house. That's basically where the World's Fair is, where the US Open is. It's one of the most popular places to play soccer. And, like, since then, obviously, it's grown even more. But that's why, like, it was always something that puzzled me. It was always something that I felt like was almost like a myth. Like, when people said, oh, soccer's not that big. We grew up in a massive soccer area, like a soccer loving area. So I'm sure, like, look, we weren't in Madrid, but we definitely felt the soccer culture more than I think most people would. And I know we went on a tangent there, but the bottom line is that soccer was already big in the U.S., I think, but it's definitely like growing more, and we're seeing that now. And it's a good thing that these clubs keep coming over, because look at someone like me. I don't even remember the last time Chelsea actually came here. I remember in 2015, I think they played the Red Bulls. That was that game where they lost to the Red Bulls. It was like Red Bulls 2, and they lost to them, and that was that season where they finished 10th, the other season. I don't remember them ever coming to the U.S. or coming into our area after that. They were here last year, yeah. But like, you know, it's good for fans who unfortunately don't live in London, don't live in Barcelona, to be able to see their teams. Like, you know, you can't just can't just be a fan just because you grew up there, you know? Demetri's been a Barcelona fan for as long as I've known him. I'm pretty sure the first time I met him, he was wearing a Ronaldinho jersey. We were 7, 8 years old. I was 8, you were 7. You know, I still remember that, you know.
Ups, down, Champions League winners, 8-2s, been through it all.
Listen, so I mean, I know Demetri's been a Barcelona fan for a long time. Same thing with me. I like Chelsea. I started liking Chelsea when I was like 9, I want to say. It was like 2006, because I loved Michael Ballack. For some reason, I loved how he played. And when he went to Chelsea, and then obviously Chelsea were already winning trophies, and I liked the color blue. So I think it all kind of came together, and I started liking Chelsea. I used to watch them on Fox Soccer Channel. It would have Sky Sports News going on, like on the channel late at night, and I would just watch that. I would watch like Premier League highlights, all that stuff, like history stuff. So that's kind of how I got into Chelsea. And I've basically been a fan of them ever since. Saw highs and lows, 2 Champions Leagues. I've seen 2 Champions Leagues. From the time that I can like really remember, I've seen them win 2 Champions Leagues. More than most people, I gotta say. More than most teams. Definitely a lot of lows, a lot of highs, but you know, that's how it is being a fan abroad. You kind of have to do everything from far away. I haven't been to Stamford Bridge yet. I know you haven't been to the Camp Nou.
Nope.
The Spotify Camp Nou. Just make sure that you're aware. It's
under
Spotify.
renovation.
Is it?
It's under renovation now.
Another $2 up on your Spotify subscription. It's gonna have to pay for that one. Or where's Laporta gonna pull another lever?
Might have to. He might have to.
I'm trying to think. We've been to NYCFC games before together. The atmosphere isn't great.
That comes with like
Baseball.
half the stadium being empty too.
Yeah.
Red Bull game. Way back.
Oh yeah. Remember when we played on the field?
Yeah, they were playing Columbus Crew that game. And
You remember that?
They lost 4-0.
I don't remember that. I don't
They
remember
lost
that.
4-0.
I actually don't remember that.